From New York, Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ebro in the morning, Hot 97. Laura Stiles, Rosenberg, Young New Yorkers is the organization that is here today. Rachel Barnard, give it up, give it up. And your name again, sir? I'm sorry, I forgot.
Daniel Aguilar.
Come close, Daniel. Come close to the microphone. Laura Stiles, you put us onto this.
Yes.
What's happening here?
I'm a cultural ambassador for such a wonderful organization called the Young New Yorkers. And a friend of mine, Chino, BYI, who's like a legend in graffiti world and an amazing artist, an incredible person, and my boy Art Tech too. They're the ones who put me onto it. So, you know, I always talk to you guys about going to like galleries and
So Laura, out here, you just out here getting bags like that, huh?
Oh, no, chill out. So I went to this function one time and I met some incredible kids and I was really like, why are these young kids here? And I didn't even realize where I was at. And it happened to be one of their fundraisers. And and I'll let Rachel explain why the Young New Yorkers organization is so special.
Oh, thanks, Laura. We love you. Basically, Young New Yorkers is an arts-based alternative to incarceration for teens in the adult criminal justice system. So instead of being sentenced to jail or other adult sanctions, they can be sentenced to our art program for 1 day through to 8 weeks. And in most cases, they have their case dismissed and sealed. So
what type of people or what type of crimes are committed where you get sentenced to do art for 1 day to 8 weeks?
Well, that's not really
the kind of
I'm trying to understand. Well, because you said they get sentenced. So I'm like, okay, well, I like this. This is amazing because obviously it's encouraging kids, young people to not just be a part of our,
system.
you know, our prison industrial complex and the school to prison pipeline, which I'm all for trying to figure out ways to solve this issue we have. But
well, the charges they have, because you know, to say crime means like that for sure these kids have taken certain actions, and we all know that the criminal justice system in some neighborhoods, depending on what you
can
look
say
like,
black and brown or poor. You can say it.
Yeah, well, of course, in poor black and brown neighborhoods, the criminal justice system is way more present. So if you're stopped on the regular by a police officer and you're a teenager, maybe on the 4th or 5th time you kind of lose your temper and you may be arrested for resisting arrest.
Got it.
So it's really far more complicated than just these kids have committed crimes.
So they've been charged with something, either a real crime or even something erroneous, like they had a warrant out for their arrest because they didn't pay a jump in the turnstile ticket.
Right.
It might be graffiti. We get a lot of. We used to get a lot of turnstile jumping. It might be MTA infractions. It might be that they had a fight at school.
Wow.
It's normal adolescent behavior that's been criminalized because of the neighborhoods that they're from. And instead of looking after our awesome young people that are all over the city, we seem to be punishing some of our young people. And Young New Yorkers is stepping in to say, hey, come do this art program, be self-expressed, let's have a restorative moment together. Absolutely, let's take account for our actions because that's where our personal power comes from, and no one's going to listen to us unless we acknowledge the actions that we've taken. But then let's step into our powerful voice and say, how do we want to see the system change? How do we want to have a voice on the legislation that impacts us the most, despite the fact that we're too young to vote and act as citizens?
So it says here established partnerships. So these are the people that are giving you money or people that support what you're doing. This Kings County Criminal Court, Red Hook Community Court.
Yeah, we have wonderful criminal justice partners who make our organization possible. So the district attorneys offer Young New Yorkers as a plea deal. The judges are fully supportive, and the judges and the prosecutors attend the public art exhibitions that the kids develop.
Okay.
So we've had public art exhibitions on solitary confinement, on the state of policing in our neighborhoods, anything that they want to talk about that's criminal justice related or connected to their case. They throw these elaborate razzle-dazzle exhibitions. The judges come into the courtrooms. All of a sudden, the kids own the courtrooms because they've decorated it with balloons and artwork and streamers. And then they invite them into the space, and the kids get known by the very criminal justice actors involved in their sentencing beyond their rap sheet as these incredible kids.
So you get to see them as humans.
Futures. It humanizes the culture of the courtroom and
instead of you just sitting up there with your robe and your gavel and looking at a name on a piece of paper and going, all right, you get boom. They actually are taking it upon themselves to come learn about these kids and the way they
And to
think.
the prosecutors and the judges' credit, they love it. They love coming to the exhibitions. They love getting to know the kids. They love seeing the kids shine rather than, you know, when you're a judge, one judge calls it the churn. You just see kids coming in, and then sometimes you'll see the same kid coming in, and you can lose a sense of possibility, and you can have secondary trauma, and you can start sentencing from that place of secondary trauma and the churn rather than a sense of possibility that all these kids have.
In my brain, as I listen to you talk and I think about the judges and the district attorneys, I know there's some district attorneys coming on board here in New York City in the different areas that are either from the neighborhoods that they're becoming district attorneys in, or I believe truly want to change things. And then there's, obviously DAs and judges that I wonder if they're, the way they are aligned politically, still have the same interests of these young people in mind when funding for a lot of these neighborhoods and a lot of these programs like yours either gets cut or pushed into something else that doesn't provide more opportunities for these young people. This is just where my brain is going as I hear you talk about how much they love to come and see these kids do great things, because I do always ask, and Laura will tell you this, I always ask, where's the money coming from for these programs?
Well, we're a very grassroots organisation, so most of our money for our Brooklyn programs comes from our silent art auction, which is tomorrow night. Thank you for the question.
Very good.
And it's going to be in the Lower East Side, and we're honouring several people that are very committed to criminal justice reform, especially the way that it impacts young people, and we have over 80 artworks that are going to be up for auction, and that's how we met Laura.
And to simplify it, Ebro, just like all these amazing artists donate pieces that would normally be super expensive, and you can get them at a fairly affordable price. I mean, everyone goes there to bid, but all the proceeds go to the program to fund, the program for the kids.
And can you bid on these online also, or is it all at the live auction?
No, you can bid on it online. It's live now, and it's on Paddle 8/Young New Yorkers.
Danny, can you talk about your
Paddle
experience
8.
with the program?
I know about Paddle 8. Paddle 8 did the Wu-Tang auction with the Wu-Tang album.
Well, yeah, they handle auctioning.
Yeah, they do.
Wait,
can I talk to Danny, please? Danny, can you talk about your experience with the program?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you get closer to the mic?
Yeah, sorry. So I belong to the very first program of Young New Yorkers. It was a pilot program, and when I first started, I didn't really know what to expect. It wasn't your, conventional approach. So once I entered the classroom with Rachel and a bunch of the staff, we came into a space with people who were welcoming, very supportive, and then just the use of art itself to help us be expressive, and definitely had a positive impact on my life. Being able to be in a room with other kids who look like me, who just make mistakes that any normal teenager would make, made me realize that going forward I could. It's funny because now I'm in a position where I could influence change, right? And now I think that as I look back to see how far I've gotten, I'm just very proud. But I'm also glad the fact that Rachel's put me in a position to speak out and use my voice, and that's one of the things that this program has done. It gives these kids an opportunity to speak out to the criminal justice actors and basically say, "Listen, I'm something beyond my rap sheet. I'm not just someone who made a mistake. I'm somebody who could be great, and I'm not going to be punished for that one mistake. And that's probably one of the biggest takeaway from the program. Just to know people believe in us, and that
not defining people in the worst decision they've made.
Basically, yeah.
And most of the time, it is just little adolescent behavior. It's normal. It's normal things that happen. And my case was a little different, but that's a different story.
You don't want to talk about your case?
You can if you want, but it's your story.
Yeah, it's your story, so no,
no
pressure.
So yeah, mine wasn't. It was a little extreme. And the only reason why I did commit that crime was because I was influenced by a lot of my peers. I wanted to fit in. Basically, I robbed someone on a train for Beat headphones, and at the time
this was common.
Yeah,
This was happening pretty frequently.
Yeah, and this was back in 2012.
Was
so
it a dash? It was a snatch and dash? It was a
snatch and
dash.
dash. Yeah.
So it wasn't really like you
Since
put
it's-
hands on them. You just kind of snatched it
Snatch
off their
and
head and
dash.
took off.
Yeah, I was in the train and I just grabbed it and left. And at the time, it was a popular thing. So if you had it, you like the coolest kid, you know.
This
So
was
you
how
had-
many years ago?
2012. So this is about 6 years ago now.
Okay, yeah, I remember this.
And,
They were reporting this on the news.
So everyone who had the money in my school would have them. So like they're walking around the school looking like they're this shit.
Yeah.
Ooh, sorry.
You're
It's
good.
okay.
Yeah, you getting comfortable now. I knew we'd get you there. I like it.
And then so you know what, I don't have the money for it. Let me just do this, and I think that. And also I was also with a couple of friends, and I felt like if I did that, it would validate my toughness or whatever. So, but the habit's common. It's common for kids, you know. And then it's a mistake that I'm never gonna make again, obviously. But
Yeah, and he could have had a lifelong criminal record. And because Beats headphones are expensive, it could have been pushed into
Because of the
felony.
price.
Right.
Because
Right.
of the price.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting too. While that is straight theft, right? Like you stealing.
yeah.
I would like to talk about space, right? And how in many of the neighborhoods in New York City and urban areas, and by urban I don't mean black, I mean city, right? There's not a lot of space for kids to enjoy their interests,
Right.
right? So let's say you do like art and you're a kid from the city. Where's the open art space that kids can just go and
Very
hang with
few.
their friends and paint,
If
right?
any.
Now it's very popular, the kids popping wheelies on their dirt bikes in the hood, right? Now, if I was a kid in the suburbs, right, I'd throw my bike in the car with my motorcycle, my dad, we drive out to some open area and I ride my motorcycle, right? But if I'm a kid who lives in the city, where's my area that I get to go and pop my wheelies and do jumps and, you know what I'm saying? And I don't think as a city, and many cities don't make those type of investments, right? Because I don't know if as a culture, when we live in these, urban areas and city areas, that we care about the interests of the kids, the poor kids that live. I don't think that that's culturally something we do. We care about their parents doing the service jobs, right? That we like, but we don't necessarily care about their children and their children's interests in making sure that they have places that we've sectioned off. That's like, yo, you want to do that? You want to pop wheelies and do that? Do that over here. Like out in Jersey, a lot of kids go to the racetracks, right? When they turn 16, 17, they want to modify their little, import car and all that. You want to race? Boom.
I really like what you say about space, like creating space for adolescents and our responsibility as a city for creating space
Yeah.
for all of our kids to do normal adolescent
Yes.
behavior. And in New York City, unfortunately, the last 30 years,
It's not a lot of
what
space.
we've done is we've created a system that we push kids through, and that can really impact their long-term future. Daniel is one of the most incredibly wise people I've ever met. I have no doubt that he has an amazing future, and he could have been saddled with a lifelong criminal record. He could have been sent into spaces that are genuinely traumatizing for a teenager. I would be scared if I was handcuffed. We're handcuffing our teenagers for very small infractions, and what Young New Yorkers does is it tries to create a space to process our experience with the system, the trauma that we have from the system, and then create a space for us to be adolescents and express ourselves.
Well, and then the other part, and we talk about it sometimes on the show, which is your childhood is taken away from you because you don't have the luxury to make mistakes when you're poor or you're black and brown. You don't have those luxuries, right? So then somebody like me gets on the radio and goes, "Yo, stay focused. You don't have those luxuries today. Stay off the block. Stay inside. You can't hang out with your friends." And that builds anger. And now that anger manifests itself in certain ways that may also create an emotional outburst of some sort
Right.
with a teenager, and then they get in another type of trouble
course,
because they
yeah.
can't even have fun, and my childhood's taken away from me, and it's unfair, and I'm angry, and this and that, and it's compounded.
Yeah,
That
I
is-
mean, through the organization, I just met some incredible kids. Like some simple things like shoplifting, or instead of sending them to Rikers, there's an opportunity for them to have. I hate to call it art rehabilitation, but it's just a mentoring program. That's how I look at it. And somebody to actually pay attention to them, work with them, because some of these kids, their parents are working all day. They come from a one-parent home and they have no guidance. They don't have anything. So instead of throwing them in Rikers, they get a second chance. So it's just been an incredible experience working with them. And
Danny, you wore those headphones? After you stole them, you wore them.
No, I actually got caught that day. That same day, yeah.
So you wasn't fast enough, slick enough.
I got in the way, but then I made a mistake to go back to the same area.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Well,
Big congratulations.
Felt good. Thought he was getting
Thought you was
gassed.
the man.
Yeah.
You wanted to go back and celebrate the moment. Nope.
He's since saved up and bought his own headphones.
There you go.
So
Well,
you
good.
know.
Glad it worked out.
There's that side of the story.
Well, we have our art auction tomorrow. It's up online now, but it's going to be in the Lower East Side. Do you have the address on hand?
It's 107 Norfolk Street in the Lower East Side.
Yeah, so I just invite everybody to come and support us. And there's going to be a lot of great kids there, a lot of great artists. You
And
can
really
come,
great
donate.
art, and like you said, at a pretty good cost. There's like original paintings, there's prints, there's photos, there's all kinds of stuff. It's just really great stuff.
Yeah.
Dope. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you
Danny,
so
we're
much.
glad you're not doing dumb-ish, like stealing headphones. Like, think about that. He's stealing headphones, bro.
But that's
You're
so
a kid,
regular.
you
That's
do
what's such a
dumb
great example.
things.
It's such a perfect example because that is the move.
Then you go back to the spot where you stole
Well,
the
now you're
headphones.
just picking. Now you're picking on him. Now you're
What?
picking on him.
Like, what are you
He's
doing?
already made amends.
Keep it pushing.
There's a lot of other details not included in the story.
Yo, it's nice meeting you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Young New
Young New
Yorkers
Yorkers.
Organization.
Thank
you so much.
That website one more time, youngnewyorkers.org.
Thank you, everyone.